So, probably, so one guy bought it all.
He did.
No, the lot, the big lot, I had a client put an offer in at 485.
People that are on the edge.
It must have been
Doesn't seem to be,
16.
The
land?
best
The best lot.
The one with the house on it, with the beach.
Right.
Yeah.
But somebody
Wanda,
bought
thank
them all
you.
five.
I got the
And they-
registration.
all five
form.
lots. Whoever got it all.
Harris Grove.
And he had to throw in a stupid number because I had 4 clients bidding on, one on the premium lot, then another client knew he couldn't afford that, so went to the one next to it. And then another client wanted the view.
We're good? And put an offer in across the street, over asking all of them.
So whoever bought it paid more than what they were asking for every lot.
What is this?
Do you know who got it?
I'll find out. I didn't get the name, but I will.
Well, when it comes time for
Well,
public
probably
comment.
as soon as it closes. along.
Right, we all know the answer to that one.
Pam, are we good? Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Sutton Conservation Meeting. It is April 6th, 6:30 PM. We cannot start with the pledge because our flag is missing. I would like to start this meeting out and thank everyone who participated this past Saturday in the Sutton Town-wide cleanup. Couple notable people or groups to mention: Sutton Cultural Council, Sutton Preservation 4-H Club, Al's Rubbish Removal, Cub Scout Pack 243, Boy Scout Troop 243, Boy Scout Troop 131, Sutton Highway Department, Chris Cobb, Sherry Haskins, Pam Nichols, and Anna Wentz. Thank you to everybody for the town who contributed, and 3 of Al's dumpsters were filled with local trash just off the side of the road. First thing up is a public hearing. It's a continuation for 3 Lackey Dam Road. If I could have a motion to waive the reading.
I'll make a motion to waive the reading of 3 Lackey Dam Road.
I'll second.
Nicole made a motion, Robin seconded. Nicole, how do you vote?
Aye.
Robin, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mike, how do you vote?
Aye.
Jamie, how do you vote?
Aye.
And I, Bill, vote aye. Anyone here for 3? Welcome back.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. I'm Andrew Gorman from Beals and Thomas, here on behalf of Mary Bedoyan of 3 Lackey Dam Road, and we are requesting an order of resource area delineation to confirm the boundaries of specific BVWs on the property. Since our last hearing, Mr. LaCroix has performed a site visit to investigate our delineation, and we subsequently met on site with Mr. Moran, I believe, and we reviewed some of the areas, and basically through this discussion we're able to refine our assumptions. We made some adjustments to the wetland line. This is the northerly side of the property here, our F series. So I have the change areas highlighted. We have some bump outs on the western side of this BVW, a little bit of a spike. In some areas we also eliminated flags and then connected the 2 points between them. On the southerly side, this is our E series BVW. Biggest change here is this bump out following this contour line. And I think a lot of these revisions were largely based on soils. So based on these revised plan sets, we would respectfully request an ORAD to confirm the wetland lines.
Thank you. Greg, I'll turn it over to you. Any
Yeah.
updates on this one?
Me and Andrew met out in the field like you said, and we agreed on some changes throughout the F series and E series lines. And as right now, I recommend a full or complete ORAD for, I think it's specific flags. I want to say wetland flag E62 through 90 and wetland flag F1 through 52, if I'm correct.
Correct, yep. So the entirety of the F series is in the town of Sutton. We have a unique situation where wetlands, don't stop at town lines, so we have the Sutton Uxbridge town line over here. So we wouldn't have the ability to ask you to confirm this slice right over here.
Thank you.
And then also nothing on the southern boundary of that wetland.
Correct, thank you. So there's also a southern boundary in the town of Sutton that's still part of this lot too. This was not investigated and we're not seeking confirmation at this time. Thank you. Yep.
Thank you. Turn it over to the board. Does the board have any questions? Anyone from the public on this one?
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye. I'll make a motion to issue an order for resource area delineation. Greg, do I have to be specific about those flags, or?
I would
Okay.
be because of the,
For E62 through 90 and F1 through 52.
I believe that's correct, right?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Approved. And Wanda, I don't think I need to do roll call now that we're off Zoom. Is that
No,
correct?
You have to do a roll call. Vote roll,
Well, I do have to vote.
I think so.
No, if you're totally live,
Okay.
no one on TV.
No one on
We
TV.
never
don't have
went
to.
through that
Okay.
before, so.
It's been so long.
It's been 2 years of doing roll calls.
So we have to answer in unison, is that the,
It's just speak up if you don't like what I'm saying,
Thank
right?
you.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Have a
you.
great night. Next thing up is 6:35 PM.
Yeah.
Is this a new one? No, it's a continuation as well.
I'll make a motion to waive the reading for 11 Marsh Road.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
11 Marsh Road. Welcome, and the microphone's yours. Welcome back.
Thank you. Mark Allen with Allen Engineering Associates, here representing Jonathan Rapp. This is a continuance for 11 Marsh Road. At the last hearing, you may recall, we had not received our DEP number and/or their comments. We had received them about 12 hours later after the last meeting. So just to go through those, they had a couple of items that we have addressed. The first item that DEP mentioned was that a category change should appear financially. So basically, because of the work done at the water's edge, we're a Category 5, not a Category 3. So we have issued the checks to both the state and to the town in the terms of $265 to Sutton and $205 additional dollars to the Commonwealth of Mass. Those checks were cut and sent in. The other items were fairly minor. Because Singletary Pond is a great pond, they recommend that the applicant get a Chapter 91 license for the docks. This is common, and in talking with botanists, they need an order of conditions in which to apply for the Chapter 91 license. So they fully intend to do that after getting the order of conditions. They can attach that order of conditions to the Chapter 91 waterways license and get their docks permitted. The impact quantification of the bank and land underwater, they had asked about, and simply we're basically fixing the walls, so we're bringing the grades up in the exact same location. So I don't think that there's a delta in the impact. I think it's gonna be the same 130 linear feet of wall that's gonna be replaced or fixed, as opposed to new quantified buffer zone or resource impact. And the last thing is that they wanted the latitude and longitude in decimal degrees, not in minutes and seconds, which is very critical in the application.
What? Sorry.
So it's 42.1850 and 71.78447 degrees longitude and latitude. Discussion was had last meeting about timing, and the applicant has agreed to do the lakefront work in the fall, in the winter, as the water is lowered. We did recognize the commission's concerns and recognize that, and in talking with the contractor, it just wasn't financially feasible or feasible just to get the machines in there while the water's high. So they do, I did advise them that these permits are 3 years in the making, and that they could do the other work, and just, if it's the commission's purview, they could be conditioned to do that work when the drawdown is below the water level. So I think that captured everything. Any questions for the commission?
Pretty good. Greg?
Yeah, so I have the site plan pulled up here. And just as a reminder to kind of go through what work that is proposed, they're proposing putting 2 new retaining walls. They're proposing putting a pervious patio area. And then, as he was just speaking about, they're proposing to replace the retaining wall along the bank of the pond, as well as moving the existing dock. All of the retaining walls and the patio will be outside of the FEMA zone, so no flood zone worry in that area of work. Most of your concerns last week were about doing the wall repairs in the wet season, as he just mentioned, and sounds like they're doing it during the drier season when the lake's a little lower now. Besides that, I remember Mike was wanting a more durable straw wattle on this project just because of the proximity to the lake and potential for erosion. So he mentioned something about the orange and black straw wattles. And then as just a recommendation for a special condition, if this does get approved today, we suggest supplying the Chapter 91 license to the commission once it's received.
Thank you very much. To the board. Any questions? States.
They covered everything.
Good work.
Public?
Oh, yes, the public. Anyone from the public? A lot of people out there, but no comment, okay?
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
I'll make a motion to issue an order of conditions for 11 Marsh Road with a special condition that they will provide the commission with a Chapter 91 license once they receive it.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Have a great night. Good luck with the project. Next thing up, 640 is a new one, so I have to read it in. In accordance with the provisions of MGL, Chapter 131, Section 40, Wetlands Protection Act, and the Sutton Bylaw 12, Wetlands Protection, the Conservation Commission will hold a hearing to review a request for determination, RDA submitted by Diane Wellington Trust, Sutton, Mass. The hearing will be held on Wednesday, April 6, 2022, at 6:40 p.m. The project consists of removal of dead and storm-damaged trees at 1 Harris Grove, Sutton, Mass. Well, we have everybody here for that. Come on down, sir. And just state your name and address in the microphone.
Not much to say. Parker Wellington, Diane's my wife, and we just have a number of trees that are dead, diseased, and they need to be removed.
Pretty straightforward.
That's it.
Thank you. Greg, did we get what we need on the trees from Mr. Wellington?
We do have an arborist letter, but I think Brandon has some comments about the nature of this one.
First, minor stuff, but quick critique of the RDA form. There are 5 boxes that you can check what you're requesting for, and the only box that was checked was box A, which reads, I request the Sutton Conservation Commission make the following determinations. A, whether the area depicted on the plans or maps referenced below is in an area subject to jurisdiction of the Wetlands Protection Act. So if we go just by this, all we're doing is giving determination of whether or not they even have to come in. So with the applicant's permission, I will check off box C as well, which reads whether the work depicted on the plans referenced below is subject to the Wetlands Protection Act. Is that okay?
That's fine.
Okay, good. Just,
Yeah, I wasn't sure on some of them.
yeah, nobody needs an appeal because of a technicality, right? Okay, so this is no surprise to any of you. There are some trees near the house that they would like to remove. Could you bring up some of the pictures of the trees? And there's one picture in particular of looks like a big oak tree leaning towards the house. So those kinds of trees that are in close proximity to dwellings, driveways into the car, whether it's legitimate or not, they have an arborist letter and nobody's going to question the arborist, right?
Is there one that you want in particular?
Well, there are trees that could fall on the house, right? So those are things that the commission's never questions as long as there's an arborist letter, right? It's like a doctor's prescription, right? There are some trees, however, that are not, in my opinion, close to a structure or something that would cause damage to life and or property, or imminent damage to life and or property. There's some trees in the woods that really aren't near anything, near wetlands. And it's my opinion that those particular trees, whether they be dead or alive, especially the dead ones though, provide valuable wildlife habitat. They provide roosting areas, they provide nesting holes, insect, food sources. If they're near a wetland, I recommend leaving them there as part of the public interest associated with Wetlands Protection Act.
Hold up an example of that.
Yeah, here's an example of that. Some trees just in the woods, they're not really near anything. you know, my recommendation is to not allow those under the Wetlands Protection Act and the bylaw, but that's just my suggestion. What makes it a little more difficult is I have a really, really rough sketch from R.W. Emmett right here, which it's really tough to understand where and what kinds of trees these are.
All the trees are marked with yellow ribbons.
Yeah, I went around and I did the best I could finding, but there was some that I tried to find follow that site plan. I couldn't really figure out where each and every tree was. That's the issue.
Then why don't you come back and I'll show you where they all are.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the only other issue I would disagree with is the tree by the barn. There's a large tree by the barn which is dead. And that would fall and hit the barn.
Yeah, again, Mr. Chairman, no issues with a tree that would affect a structure. It's when they're out away from everything and they're near a wetland, they do provide value under the Wetlands Protection Act.
The only question I have is some of these trees could fall into, there's a little pond, and it just makes a fire hazard. And it just makes a total mess of the property.
In my opinion, the whole forest is a fire hazard. And as far as the mess, unfortunately, aesthetics is not, aesthetics is in the bylaw, but nature isn't always aesthetically clean, and they provide other values under the act, so.
All right.
That's my recommendation, anyway.
Thank you. And, you know, as the chair, I always have a mixed review because obviously we want to put the environment and stuff, but because of my day job, I always get concerned about liabilities and what could happen and trees falling on people.
Could I just make a comment?
Yes.
One of the trees there that you,
Yes. Oh, sorry, Mr. You have to go back because you can't hear you. The wonderful people at home can't hear you.
Thank you, sorry.
Sorry.
in Parker Wellington, one of the trees that I'm talking about fell and hit a car. And this was about 4 years ago.
Mhm.
And there's a large stump there, and that's one of the numbers of trees that I'd like removed. Nothing ever came of it, but these are issues like that that I think are important. And there was an ambulance there was a girl rushed to a hospital, and the car was demolished. And these are trees right along that area. And so all I'm trying to do is remove them. And also there are people that come onto the property and they fish, and a tree could fall, and you'll find that there are a number of trees that are hanging from storms that were damaged, that they blew them over and they're hooked on the top of another tree, and they're gonna fall down and they're gonna hurt somebody. And all I'm concerned about is liability, because if they come down, I will be sued.
Well, I think you got a friend on the board.
Yeah.
And that's all I'm trying to do.
I get it. I get it. You know, the whole idea is to prevent the forest from becoming a landscape area, which is not the intent of the jurisdictional areas, as much as possible. That's
How
all
many
I'm saying.
trees are we requesting
They're
to
about
take down?
15, and they're all dead.
But you're leaving all the, like,
All the
heavy,
liabilities.
I'm
the
leaving
healthy
everything
ones.
else that's there, and these trees, once they're down, there are so many nuts and acorns that fall, there'll be another tree growing in 2 years from nature.
Bill?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm just having trouble picturing what we're I know we're taking trees, I know we're near a wetland, but like usually, I don't
We
have
talking
any.
big trees or little trees?
I'm all for taking them down, especially with the letter from the arborist. It's just, I can't understand what we're agreeing to.
Like, which ones are where?
Right.
Exactly, so we have this for the sketch, and otherwise they're marked in the field, and we don't have much to go on as far as,
Well, Brandon was out there, and I can.
So where's the wetland, Brent? Sorry, like, maybe we can understand it from the photo. Can you zoom in on that?
Yeah,
So like,
yeah.
where are the wetlands and where's the group of trees? Maybe that would help us understand.
Yep. So you're looking at, mostly they're around this
So that's the pond?
portion of the lake. Yep.
That's a pond, a small little pond.
Yep, no, I know what it is.
There's a causeway coming through here. That's how you access all the roads on this side.
Yep.
So there's some trees along, and correct me if I'm wrong, along the east side of Singletary Lake and this,
Which are in Millbury.
in this pond. Yeah. Well,
So you wanna clean up that area there where
Yes.
you're
some
pointing?
here.
So it's the old grove, and he's right,
It's the
so
old
people,
grove.
I've been going there since I was a kid,
Yep.
and people just go down and fish without asking.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna have to agree with everything he said now that I know, and I've been by there recently, and there's a lot of big pines.
Right,
I don't know if you wanna take those down, but I could see that if it's over safety. But still, so he's not clear cutting one area, he's just selectively taking out the dead trees. Is that,
I wouldn't say they're all dead, but
Everyone is dead.
everyone.
Yes, everyone is dead.
well, let's not get into that.
And the
How
bark
about,
is- the
are you
bark
willing to put anything back, so is he within 25 feet of the pond and lake and any of that, or the wetland?
There may be 2 of them or something like that.
So that's where it gets sensitive, because the way we've looked at it in the past is when you get within 25 feet and you're taking down trees, we've asked people just to, we don't get into like
I'll put
outside
that.
of that, but at least within that 25 feet, because we start to say that definitely shades the lake,
Right.
that, you know, so we'll leave it up to you, I mean, not just one person, but as long as, if there's a couple within 25 feet and he did some plantings, blueberry bushes, trees, you know, whatever works for you guys, that would, I think, would be consistent and give him what he needs to get done. Does that sound good?
Yeah, that's fine.
And Mr. Emmett's doing all the work?
Yes.
Yeah.
He'll do a nice, neat
He
job.
always does a
with
nice,
that.
very nice work.
Those are my only questions, thank you.
Okay.
Anyone else from the board or the public?
Would it be, real quick? Would it be possible to kind of get a better definition of what's coming down to avoid a scenario where there's a misunderstanding between what's approved and what actually gets done? That's my biggest concern, is that
Why
it
don't we
doesn't
say-
seem like we're real clear on exactly what's gonna happen.
I know we said the trees that are marked, they were marked?
They were marked. There's caution tape around all the trees I saw. I am worried I didn't quite get all of them because the sketch was not,
Right, I know
Exactly.
you
Yeah.
missed 2.
Brandon, do you know like the exact number of trees? Like how many it was?
15, I
he
think.
said 15.
He said 15.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if you like got a different number.
You know, the arborist's letter was not very clear, unfortunately, and the sketch was not very clear. There's some, let's just say hemlock, or like, for example, there's like
It's
coral.
basically what we got was a cost estimate and how much it's gonna cost to take down each individual tree. So we've got 13 different areas, and some of them have multiple trees, you know, like 2 trees.
I want to add something, as we,
And I didn't,
so let's talk about this piece of property. There's no houses, it doesn't benefit anybody, it's not going to increase a view, it's not even going to be a place you hang out.
no.
Like I said, I've been going here for a long time, I truly think that this is just, the intent is to clean up the property of dead trees. I don't think, and I appreciate, Jamie, your concerns, but I don't think we should restrict this. I think we should let them, it's a quality people. We always like to trust people that they'll do what they say. And I think this is an I will say it again, I drive by all the time and I go, and that whole road is dangerous, never mind that
The
stretch.
reason I mentioned, and we recently had a tree fall in front of Pleasant Valley that hit
Somebody in a
a
car.
car. So
a lot of
it's-
these trees are by the
it's-
roadway.
It's happening
Um,
too much now.
So I think, you know, we say public safety, more of what you're doing is for the safety of right. So I do agree with that.
Anyone from the public? Turn it over to a vote.
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
I'll make a motion to issue a negative determination, with the exception that any tree that you cut down within 25 feet of the wetland, you'll replace it with native species.
Sure.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have a great night.
Thank you, I appreciate it. Wanted to do, I need to.
No, you have to do that later.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, you're welcome, thank you. 6:45, it's about 6:55, is 12 Davis Circle. Mike is gonna recuse on this one. I have to read this one in.
Because I'm the builder on the project.
In accordance with the provisions of MGL Chapter 131, Section 40 Wetlands Protection Act and Sutton Bylaw 12 Wetlands Protection, the Conservation Commission will hold a hearing to review a notice of intent, NOI, submitted by Julie Peterson, Whitensville, Mass. The hearing will be held on Wednesday, April 6, 2022 at 6:45 PM. The project consists of demolishing an existing home, construct a new home, septic system and driveway with associated grading at 12 Davis Circle. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Good evening, my name is Othman Kanis with Alpha Omega Engineering. What we have here, so we have an existing house, a garage, septic there is septic actually under the garage floor. There is a well right next to the house. We went to zoning board of appeal because the setback is basically a very small, tiny area. We cannot do anything about it. There's a 50-foot buffer. We cannot put the house in the front anymore and the septic in the back because there is no room for that. So we decided to move the house in the back. The new house, put a septic in the front. It will protect the wetland more. We went to the zoning board of appeal. We got an approval for that. Basically, that's what we have. It's very tight with the neighboring wells and the septics around. We put a new well in the back. And also we're rebuilding the field, stone wall of the lake, and also we're adding lumber, existing duct. Other than that, there is not much work happening in this property, no grading in the back. We're replacing some of arborvitaes with some different planting that I went through with Brandon and my people.
Perfect. Greg?
So, as he said, this is a complete tear down of the old house, placing it with a new 2-bedroom house. The house will be a lot closer to the lake. It will be 25 feet away at its closest point. Unfortunately, but that kind of had to happen in our case too, because the septic system had to go somewhere, had to go in the front yard, so they wanted to be able to fit it right next to the road anyway. More impervious surface than the existing house. As Mr. Rauf said, they're replacing the existing retaining wall on the pond bank, and they want to install lumber decking over the existing concrete pier. Whenever I see lumber near the water, I'm always worried about pressure treated or anything that could contaminate the lake water, so I don't know if you know what kind of lumber you'll be using yet, or you can answer that.
I'll leave it to the client actually. You know what kind of lumber you use?
Well, the decking would be composite decking for being submerged. It does have to sit on some sort of a structure.
Yeah.
And that structure would be open to different ideas, but I thought it would have to be PT if it's in contact with water.
Yeah.
There.
Yeah, and
If there's another species that would survive in a wet environment.
Brandon, fan of ACQ, pressure treated, is the more environmentally friendly of the two. There's another kind called CCR, was it something chromium acetate, which was made illegal for residential areas back in 2003. ACQ has been the alternative, and I suppose that would be okay. The fact that they're doing composite decking is great.
besides that, all the works within the 100-foot buffer zone, or pretty much all of it. The 100-foot buffer zone of the lake kind of comes right in the southern portion of the property right here. They provide plantings to replace the arborvitae that would be taken down, and that's pretty much it.
Thank you very much.
To the board.
Anybody? Tim in the audience is participating for Mike. Nothing. To the public.
I have
Yeah,
just a small.
Just your name and address for the record, please, sir.
Mike Pissarro, can I go up here?
Yeah, you should.
You got to get one of the microphones like they do on the TV show. Walk around.
Now I want to see
Good
that.
evening, members of the board. My name's Michael Pissarro. My wife and I live at 13 Davis Circle. We own the adjoining 12.5 Davis Circle property, which borders the entire western length of the Henderson property in Lake Cemetery. Currently, that entire boundary consists of mature trees and shrubs which afford us privacy, and privacy screen addresses drainage and snow removal issues and adds greatly to the value of our property. All of that existing tree line is not actually represented on there. Maybe that's because you only showing what you want to remove. Could you go
No,
back to?
we're showing what's on the property. Some of them are
Okay.
maybe up.
So I'll just pull this. You want to go back to the site plan?
Yeah, maybe,
Yeah,
just for,
okay,
that's
yeah.
what I was envisioning. Yeah, you can go back to pictures. So, you only show this on the map. There's, the arborvitae actually exist all the way kind of towards this direction. They only show replacement really here. I'm just going by the site plan, so that's what I'm addressing. And, but my concern is if you remove, everything up here, you replace everything, not just showing this and this. So, it's not, it wasn't represented, if it isn't shown on their plan, that was my main concern. We believe all of the bordering shrubbery that's removed should be replaced with something suitable. We also maybe request the board respectfully, maybe do a site visit. And, you know, so you can see, I mean, you have pictures there, but maybe you can't really visualize them completely unless you just walk the whole length of it. So I don't know. That was the only thing I had as concerns.
So it's
you know.
mostly the
Privacy.
edging, the privacy screening, for lack of a better term?
Yes.
Right. I don't know if, Ralph, can you
So
address that?
basically, what we're replacing is only what's in here. These
Okay.
areas only, we're not touching anything
Anything
else.
else? Okay.
And we're planting more shrubs and trees in this area, and I think I went through it with Brandon, and he's okay, actually, I did what he recommended for that. Everything else, whether it's on the property line or outside the property, we're not touching.
Okay. Yeah.
Does that help answer your question?
Yes, it does. If, you know, I still respectfully agree, maybe you can make a site visit.
The only issue with making a site visit is we have to make it a public meeting, because when we have a quorum, with 3 people or
when you have
more,
those three, yeah.
it becomes a public meeting that has to be publicized.
Okay. So I'm not demanding, I just, you know.
Can we go through, could you show us the
Yeah.
pictures though? Just maybe that would help, and then stop us and ask any questions as we go through. We'll try to get everyone on the same page.
Okay.
So this is the front of the property,
Mhm.
the existing house.
I'm actually on the other side of.
You're on the other side, okay. I'll just go through the whole,
Right.
kinda walk
Right
around.
through the album.
So then, you're talking about these arborvitae's on the
Yeah.
right-hand
Yeah,
side of the
so
picture?
it looks like you're not touching.
Yes,
really
the
any
ones
of
in the
these-
back, exactly.
Yeah, the only back, the
Exactly,
blue-
yeah, that's correct, yes.
Okay. And then was it hawthorn trees and was it a spice bush tree? You're replacing that end with, I think?
Those are pretty big. I can understand why you wouldn't
Would
want to
wanna
see them
keep
cut,
those,
yeah.
Yeah, they're
Been
towering.
growing for a couple days, huh?
Yeah, the hawthorn, high bush blueberry, winterberry, spicebush, red osier dogwood, and gray dogwood are the species that are proposed to be planted.
And those are all native, Brandon, just for the record?
Yes.
But just my understanding, not in that area where he was concerned about.
No, not
Correct.
touching
I
it.
just want to make sure I understood that.
Okay. I see now.
And that does it for pictures. Then
Yeah,
that
just
one.
looking down, so none of these would be touched.
Exactly.
But those, you just kind of see,
The ones in
Those
the back
would
one,
be-
exactly.
yeah.
Got it.
replaced. Okay.
And then, I believe that does it for the pictures. There's one specific one you wanna go back to talk about,
Does that address your concerns, or?
Yes, I believe so.
You're comfortable with it?
Yeah, yes, if, you know, what I see here, yes.
And just so you know, typically, obviously, any replantings are probably the last
Yeah.
thing that are gonna be done there, just
Mhm.
so if you see
Obviously,
something,
yeah.
it's not replanted before the house is built, you'll
Yes.
understand why.
I understand
Common
that.
sense reasons, right?
Common sense, yeah.
But we throw that out there.
Yeah, right.
Anybody else, anybody else from the public? Anybody else from the board?
So I just have a question. It's gone through zoning board of appeals,
Yes,
and what
exactly.
about board of health?
Approved with the condition of the confirmation approval.
All right, that was my only question.
Okay.
All right.
I
Well,
did read this, so can I submit it?
Yep. You can, just give that to Wanda, she'll stamp it in and put it into the record. Thank you very much.
So I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And I'll make a motion to issue an order of conditions for 12 Davis Circle. I would like to do the special condition that you'll use the environmentally friendly pressure-treated wood for the dock and the composite decking for the dock, if that's all right with you.
I'll specify.
ACQ.
There you go.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good night. Thank you. Good luck with the project. We've gone through all the scheduled meetings, but I know there's a lot of people here in the public, and I don't imagine it's just to watch. Is anyone here for a specific reason that I haven't?
Did we do Park and Hill
Oh, I'm sorry. Nope, my bad. Just make sure you guys are paying attention. I checked off the wrong one. Next up is 285 Putnam Hill Road. I have to read this one in. And we do not have a DEP number, Wanda? No? in accordance with the provisions of MGL Chapter 131, Section 40 Wetlands Protection Act and the Sutton Bylaw 12 Wetlands Protection, the Conservation Commission will hold a hearing to review a notice of intent submitted by Berta Nerl and Donald Zango of Sutton, Mass. The hearing will be held on Wednesday, April 6, 2022 at 6:50 p.m. The project consists of construction of a patio, pool, and pool house at 285 Putnam Hill Road. And are you here for that project, sir?
Yes, I am.
Name and address, please.
Okay, commissioners, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Sherry Sabry. I work for Topper Land Surveying, formerly Summit Engineering. I'm here representing Mr. Donald Zango of 285 Putnam Hill Road, and he is proposing to put a pool house for, like the chemicals and materials for the pool, and a patio in the back of his house. We are within the 100-foot adjacent upland review area, but we are outside of the 25-foot no-touch. The closest that we come to a wetland is the associated grading, that's about 38 feet. The pool deck itself, or patio, is gonna be 48 feet, roughly, from a nearest wetland. The area consists of about 2,500, a little less than that. And it's been, the wetland's been flagged in 2015 when the house was built. And we are proposing to move the permanent limit of work. As you can see, coming up through here, it does come through. We're proposing to expand it out and add some wetland signs, placards in there. One here, and we're gonna replace this one. There's one here that's a granite post. I'm gonna replace that one out. We've taken into consideration some of the different design aspects to this. We were looking at possibly putting on the side. That's our reserve area for our septic, just in case, you know, we need to replace it. The back of the house would be the prime section for it.
And right now, is that a lawn area, grass area for the most part?
Yes. Yes, with a little bit of brush.
Right, okay. And turn it over to Brandon and Greg?
Yeah, I'll take this one, Mr. Chairman. I have the most history with this site. Could you start bringing up the pictures?
Yeah.
So this was Gianni Romeo's house that we have a lot of history with. He's the one who built it. I think just about everybody's been to this one, if you remember. There's a lot of stuff that the house, number one, wasn't built where it was supposed to be. The commission gave an after-the-fact approval for that and the certificate of compliance. And there was issues with getting the roof leader recharge areas done. He finally got those done. Didn't put in the granite bounds because the commission decided they didn't want to have to burden the owner with having to look at the buffer zone signs so closely. So granite bounds were put up and can you bring, Greg, can you bring up the plan one more time? Because I want to outline the area where the granite bounds are, because that line makes up the permanent limit of disturbance that was associated with that house. So it's this dashed out line right here, like that, and then it goes to a bound there, then it goes to here, and then back this way. And if you remember, with all the houses in this little development subdivision, it used to be a hayfield. So the commission decided, and this goes back quite a way, it was my idea originally to allow old hayfields to be continued to be used as old hayfields and not lose that particular kind of agricultural feel in town. All right, go back to the pictures. So as part of their order of conditions, they were allowed to mow the lawn, or mow the field twice a year. And let's zoom in on that. Yeah, here's one of the granite bounds. Here's the granite bound, here's the granite bound. So that's the permanent limit of work, and everything back here is supposed to be a hayfield. Does not look like a hayfield to me, and I'll be honest, I'm starting to think that this experiment of allowing old hayfield stay hayfield and only cut it twice a year is becoming a failed experiment. Because nobody's following it. But I think the big thing to consider here is that given the problems the commission has had with the previous developers and the amount of effort that's gone in to get it to this point, if the commission allows this development, which is going to have significant grading all the way to within 25 feet of the wetland boundary, then I think you're going to be setting precedent in that everybody in the subdivision, not on this side, but on the other side as well, which was also a Romeo project, will be able to do the same kind of thing. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Brandon. I turn it over to the board. Any questions, concerns?
Can we go back to the site?
Yeah.
Sorry, through the chair.
Yeah, no.
So where's the granite bounds that we see in that photo? That's that dotted line, correct?
This one right here, yeah.
Yep.
The one that's right there, that one doesn't quite seem to comport with what I'm seeing on the ground and in those pictures. It seems a little far out to me.
So, I have a question for the owner.
Yes.
Do you want to come up and say
My
your
name is
name?
Donald.
So when you bought the property, were you explained what you bought? Did you have any knowledge of what we're talking about? First of all, just, I don't think he understands what you just said. Am I wrong?
I
or-
visited the site with them, yeah.
First, when we got the property, we had a visit with Brandon, and we talked about this, if I remember correctly.
We talked about the areas you could go into and could not go into, because none of that was explained to you when you bought it.
And my
No surprise.
question to you, if I remember correctly, it was me and my wife. We asked you if, like, what will it take us to go straight, like to make the patio and
Right.
is that done before? And from my recollection is, you said, if you do it right, if you come to us right, with the project.
Right. And I think, if I remember correctly, retaining wall,
Right, I was just gonna.
right? Retaining wall, not so much grading, but you have to still stay within your limit of disturbance that was already approved.
So let me say it this way. So when the builder came in to develop this land, there was a lot of sensitive areas, there's a lot of wetlands. So that's how we determined that line in the back. So when we agreed to the house and to all the construction prior to you buying it to take place, the builder agreed that that limit of work wouldn't go beyond that. So now you've been in the home a year plus, and you're coming in front of the board and asking us to make an exception to allow you to go into that. Now, let's talk about what you're trying to accomplish, having a pool and a pool house. And I think the grading's the biggest issue from what I can see. So no one wants to say you can't have a pool or a pool house, nor would I don't think we ever would. I think the thing we have to talk about is how the construction's gonna take place, for one, because there's the potential for this to be a very messy project. I'm not saying it will be, but it's our job to make sure that it's done in a way that it's no. Would you consider, I think he has to try a little harder to not have disturbance go so far down the hill, and it can be done with retaining walls. I know it has expense to it, but this is a big project. I mean, and like Brandon said, it won't stop, so that every single person that files, so there is no more limited disturbance, basically.
It eliminates the limit.
And if it wasn't a brand-new house that was just built a year ago, I guess it doesn't matter whether it was a year, 10 years ago. So I think there just needs to be a little more effort to apply to that, and I think if you were over a little bit, I don't think anybody on the board would say, oh, you can't have your pool, but I think a greater effort needs to be placed with the grading, my opinion. That's it, that's all I have.
Thank you, Mike. And in DEP, we don't have a number, so I don't know what DEP would come back with too, because they should be seeing that it's within the area as well, I would hope.
And there are some other concerns, so let's presume that you're able to tighten things up a bit. With the pool, standard pool questions when you're near a wetland. You're gonna have what's the patio gonna be made out of?
Paper?
Pavers.
The pervious pavers? Okay, so the idea is that it'll just infiltrate right down, and there's gonna be no shed off. Okay, and the pool house, I presume would go shed onto those pervious pavers and also go into the ground. Does that sound like it would work, Mike? Or would it be a little too much?
I mean, so the runoff we have to worry about is, I'm not a pool professional, but don't you like backwash the filter, which is?
I'm getting to
pure-
that.
All right.
I'm getting to that. So,
I mean, so I'm not really worried about the rainwater from somebody having a patio. I don't think that that's the harm. I mean, you could do a
Well,
little
when you think
little
about the-
crushed stone or something to try to help, but, I mean, let's go back to the limit of disturbance line. So if that's a nice thick field, that's probably gonna do better to dissipate water than anything.
Yeah.
And you agreed to that, to allow that to just be seasonably mowed, and I'll say it a little more than what Brandon said. I mean, the pictures show it as almost a lawn now, not a field. I'm just saying what we see. I'm not here to get into it with anybody. But if it was a field, that's gonna help more than anything, I would think, to disperse water. And that's all we care about, is just, before it gets to the wetland, that it's had a chance to kind of recharge and make its way. So the retaining wall, once that, and maybe in your plan, you're gonna show a little swale at the retaining wall that kind of just captures the surface water and gives it a chance to just recharge because you are so close to the wetland?
Correct.
I mean, is that probably a
Right,
good idea?
so on the backwash and even the fall pump out.
We need some kind of a swale, right?
Well, usually there's some kind of a sump hole.
Like a dry well?
Yeah, a big, good, robust dry, and if you're gonna be bringing it up that much, you should have plenty of room to have stone go quite a way down to let it infiltrate. So you can discharge the backwash, and more importantly, you know, when you taking a lot of water out in the fall, that it can go into that and because it's, you know, whether you do a chlorinated pool or saltwater pool, they both can have deleterious effects on the wetland. So if it goes into the dry well as opposed to off the back and towards the wetland, that's what the commission would be looking for.
And then condition the job, I mean, no stockpiling of material, because you're gonna dig a pool, and you're probably just gonna use it for grading. Now we'll haul it off-site, so there'll be no stockpiling of any material, right?
Right.
What about the erosion control detail? Is it a wattle? Because,
Yes.
on a slope like that, what we've been liking to see is a hay bale with a black silt fence, when you have
Yeah.
a slope like that.
Right down through here, siltation barrier.
Yep.
So we're trying to be more flexible, meaning that the biodegradable isn't always the right answer.
Right.
This is probably one of those cases, because it doesn't work real well. It doesn't give a lot of strength to erosion coming at it.
Understand.
So I think, to be consistent with what we've been saying, it should be hay bales with silt fence.
All right.
I mean, it is a steep slope, and even if it's a retaining wall, you're still gonna be,
Yeah,
when it rains, all that water's going down that hill. and
Exactly.
It's just so nobody has to be, you know, there's a reason for it. Those are, I mean, just full hay bale. I think if you use some retaining walls to minimize the grading. I mean, it's a large, we're not even trying to pick on it, like, I'm sure that seems to be a very large pool area and pool house. So, I mean, maybe he could, and just take a look at the whole scope of how much
Right.
size, because you're into that limited disturbance.
All right, yeah, we can,
Is that a retaining wall there now?
This is what I brought the picture up for.
What is that?
I don't know, that's what I wanted to ask.
meaning this right here, right?
This is a wall to lower that,
Is this where your septic area is?
yes, in the back of the septic. So that's gonna be kind of like a garden.
Oh, okay, to level it up.
Okay, it's still within a
unpermitted work.
jurisdictional,
Yeah.
still within 100 feet of the wetland, though. You know, there's no prior authorization requested for that.
I mean, he dug into the breakout of the septic system.
Yeah, I was gonna mention that too. Is the Board of Health okay with this? Because it's, that hump right there is the leach field. So, I recommend probably a referral to Board of Health and show it on the plan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You also don't want any future problems with the septic, considering what those cost.
Right, so what we're saying is that work has to be in the new filing because it wasn't,
There is no digging inside, you know,
Not, okay.
on that.
Should still be listed on
it
the
has to
the
be
pool
because it
plan.
was unpermitted work.
Yeah, so
So
it should all-
either
put it all
that or
on one
we
plan.
have to do
Yeah.
enforcement, and we don't wanna do
don't
that,
wanna
just show
do
it
that.
on the plan.
Yeah.
Keep going. Yeah, so it's very lawn-like back there. On the wrong side of the granite post. Keep going. It needs to.
Think a little bit.
Computer needs to think, sorry. There we go.
Keep going.
Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Just go till I say stop. Yeah. Yep, all right, stop. So now we're looking at the front yard towards Putnam Hill Road. And Greg didn't look at it very closely because he probably doesn't have the history, but there's granite bounds in the front yard up by those little, looks like Colorado spruces as well. And I suppose planting plants is fine, but they're supposed to be native plants, which I believe that I made clear when I visited. They all have to be native plants.
Yes,
I'm not
and
sure how
those were
native they
native
all
plants.
are. And then the fact that it looks like it's getting mowed like a lawn as opposed to the hayfield. And like I just said, I'm starting to wonder if this whole experiment with the hayfield thing is just something the commission should just not do in the future, because it's causing too many headaches. It's good in
Well, let's
theory,
put-
but
Let's put clarification, it's a wetland. So your front yard isn't a hayfield, it was a wetland, but it's been mowed for a long time, so what we were trying to do is we don't wanna lose that look of Sutton, of the open field, so we tried to be lenient and allow people to do seasonal mowing. And what Brandon's trying to explain is that, and it's not just this particular, it's others, it seems to be coming. So technically, by the state regulation, we shouldn't allow it to be touched, you shouldn't even go in it.
Okay.
But we created a bylaw to try to create a certain look, which allows you that seasonal mowing. So I think what he's getting after is if people don't adhere to it, we're gonna have to start making it a wetland, and you won't be able to touch it. You won't be able to even mow it. So what we're asking is if you could kindly not mow outside those bounds, except for, I think,
Twice a
July
year.
and,
It's twice a year. if I
Yeah,
remember
like
correctly.
twice a year, right?
but it's after a certain period. I think it's like July, right?
July.
It's a lot of water.
It's a wetland, that's why. I mean, like, if we went in there with augers,
So
you'd.
that's why probably the green and the brown.
Oh. Yeah, in fact, you can see one of the bounds right here, right?
Yeah.
So everything, and you can see the neighbor's property right here, it's a little less maintained, you know, and across so the main body of the wetland's right in here. And here's the hayfield between the wetland and Putnam Hill Road, which looks like a lot more like what they would, you know, what the intention was to begin with. But this area here is supposed to look a lot more like this and on the other side. So, and then it's not supposed to be cut until July.
And no fertilizer and no weed killer, because, I mean, this really looks like a lawn.
Looks like a nice lawn.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm done.
So do you feel that you have enough to come back? Because we couldn't do anything today anyway without a DP number.
Obviously.
Do you think 2 weeks is enough time to kind of revamp? Do you want to take 4 weeks?
I have no idea with the number.
Yes, yes, I believe that we can do it. I'm sorry, one of my work colleagues is with me. It's kind of like my first outing here.
You're doing well.
Thank you.
Other than the fact I forgot you guys were on the agenda, but that's okay.
But yeah, I believe that we can come back here in 2 weeks. We'll set up an appointment, have you come down to the office, and we'll go over some design features and put those in play.
Okay, Wanda, what's 2 weeks? What do we have for 2 weeks?
It will be April 20th at 6:35.
You're one of the first
I will
ones.
send you the agenda.
Or 20.
Yeah.
What time did you say, Juan?
6:35.
6:35, I'm sorry.
I got a question.
Yeah.
When did Topper Land Survey buy out Summit Engineering, which we dealt with extensively
Right.
across the street.
Yeah. Andy Baum basically walked away right a few days before Christmas. It's not a secret. He walked away, kind of left Summit high and dry. And then we got, kind of dissolved into Topher Land Surveying at that point because Andy and Jim Smith were business partners. So Jim's like, okay, feel bad for you guys, come over to us. And we've been having engineers come in to help us out with the engineering stamps and whatnot. So.
Yeah, those are names I can't say that I'm familiar with.
Yeah. Thaddeus, how do you pronounce his last name? Sodota. He's out of.
It's gonna be a test.
Yeah.
It's his first name.
Yeah, he's out of the Charlton area.
Okay.
So.
Okay, thanks for the summary.
So we'll continue this out to Dicky.
So I'll make a motion to continue 285 Putnam Hill Road, so for April 20th at 6:35 PM.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Have a great night. We'll see you in a couple weeks.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioners.
Next up are the minutes from March 16th, 2022. Did everyone review them?
Yes.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from March 16th, 2022.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Next up is Waters Farm, and my notes say Mike is gonna give us an overview. Review. Are you prepared?
I'm ready. I was warned of this.
No, I hope so.
So I've been the liaison for the Conservation Commission up at Waters Farm for like 2 or 3 years now. Even before Joyce left, I started going to the meetings with her, knowing that she was gonna re-up. And I've been involved up there a lot, and I started involved with some of the projects, so I don't always make it to the meetings. And they wanted our participation, meaning I learned a lot about Waters Farm and what goes on up there, because we are supposed to oversee it, so we thought it was a good idea if someone other than myself maybe just did one of the meetings, not to commit to be doing it all the time, but just to go up and really know what's going on up there, because remember, we are technically the caretakers, even though it's the town's property, we have a board up there, but it is a great thing. Waters Farm and it's growing, and there's a lot more action up there and people involved, and so I think it would be a great idea if one of us.
How
would go
often
to-
are the meetings?
Yeah, when are the meetings? Are there a certain
I
night
think
every?
they're random.
The second Monday and sometimes the third Monday, but the third Monday is usually Waters Farm Days. So the second Monday would be when it would be, and I believe it's at 7?
Second Monday of the month?
Yeah.
Okay.
So my suggestion is not one person take it on. Everybody say, oh,
Right.
I'll go this
Yeah.
month, or I'll go that month. Then it doesn't fall.
And if someone
on
missed, it's like
anyone.
no pressure
Yeah.
kinda,
Good idea to me.
just to be
Wasn't a
mindful of
Monday,
these
I'd say
meetings that
yes,
go
but
on.
Mondays, I'm 12 hours at the bar.
Oh.
Bars and ports.
Bars and
They do
ports.
have other meetings, but
And I'm happy to attend.
Yeah,
I don't know if I
you
can
could
commit to all.
always go to the
else.
next meeting and be the same. It's just that one's usually Waters Farm Days, it will start, I think it already started, I'm not sure.
And it's about, what time, 6:30 at night, you said?
It's
7. They meet late. I always tried to get them to meet earlier, and there's a few people on the board that
I
can't.
did that for years, I
Yeah.
lost.
Yeah. I'll bring it up again. There's been changes in the board. Maybe we can meet earlier.
Well, if someone gives me the details, would that second Monday be this coming Monday?
Yes.
I'll text you when they.
Yeah, text me and
if
I'll-
you can make it, you can.
Yeah.
They're kind of interesting. One of the things that just happened up there is, did you hear we lost like the reenactment camp? So they had a meeting with all the neighbors up there, and we didn't realize, but that horse farm that's there has a lot, 40. I forget the number that was said.
Very expensive horses.
And breeding, and we were gonna have this huge reenactment encampment and guns and cannons, and the neighbors brought to our attention that it really put a big impact on their animals, which anyone knows with, it's not one bang for 5 minutes. They wanted to do it throughout the course of a weekend, so we had to cancel that, which I thought was a bummer, because it was starting to be popular. They had done a few.
They canceled it years ago, too.
So things like that, just so you know that they're trying to work more with the neighbors up there, be more mindful of what's going on. We're always looking for ideas that we can use to generate money to keep it going. Things like that, things to just sit in on and and be a part of it.
Doesn't hurt to have a couple other heads bumping into it
Yeah.
and see
I
what
feel
else.
bad
Tell
about
everybody
the
in town.
encampment, but probably about 10 years ago, they wanted to land some balloons in the field. Well, we had 5 teams of Belgians up there working, and we said, no, you can't do that.
Do that, so.
They'd be on the moon. So it's kind of on the same idea.
And
You know.
the Waters Farm event for the Easter egg hunt for the put on by the Fatmans is
that'll
not
be-
happening this Saturday. It's happening a week from Saturday now,
Right,
I
yeah.
believe.
Yeah,
Whatever date.
that's correct. This 16th.
16th. Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
The wet
Day
field, so
before
another.
Yeah, 'cause it's gonna rain.
Another
Well,
thing we're getting funding for, we got it already, is to do drainage and fix a lot of the fields so that these events, seems like Waters Farm Day, if anybody that's been, it seems like it always rains. And there's mud and cars stuck, and it's like a tractor pull instead of an event. So I know they're gonna be fixing the fields to make them more sustainable,
And the field is
for
wet.
traffic, yep.
It's wet.
Anything else? Anybody have any questions about Waters Farm?
Good. The barn looks nice. Coming
It's
along.
getting
The
there.
siding's going up.
Siding,
I
inside.
can't wait to see the new chimney. I can't go
Septic,
near
yeah,
it
the
yet,
chimney
but-
on the, another thing we had gotten a grant for is they've been working on that chimney inside the actual house. That's another great thing to get fixed. Always looking for volunteers, there's lots to do up there. Everybody, even the folks out in town, showing interest in Waters Farm, or it'll disappear.
Great. Thank you very much, Mike. Discussion for 200 Worcester Providence Turnpike, the Red Roof Inn. Do we have any updates?
I do. It just so happened today, I got a call from Glenn Kravosky. Was very interested in what the latest and greatest was on this particular issue. And I told him that we've been kind of getting nowhere. And he said that he was going, I gave him the information of the manager there, because still don't have the phone number of the actual owner. And he said he was gonna get in touch with him and try to convince him to do this project and why it needed to be done, because, you know, Glenn's a very big proponent of brook trout. That's the whole purpose, is to make up for the loss of the habitat and water quality functions that were provided by the pine grove that was lost within 200 feet of Cold Spring Brook, by doing the lowering of the cofferdam so that the trout could get up, whereas before, as of right now, they can't. They get to that point and they can't go any further. So he's going to take it upon himself to try and bring them up to speed and educate them and try to move along, because he's going to oversee the project, obviously. So he has an interest in seeing it move forward, not just from a philosophical, but more from a more practical, fiscal standpoint as well. So I said, Glenn, go for it. That's where it is right now. I haven't heard a peep from the owners of the Red Roof Inn.
So should I have not mailed the letters yet. I sent them out just for you to review. Do you want me to, I can send them again tomorrow, or?
Well, I thought we had,
I
I
thought
could be wrong,
since he did this, and he spoke to Glenn and everything, I thought we would hold off on that, but that's up to you.
I think we should still send the
I think we should
certified
still
letters.
send
No, I think we should start enforcement. I'm
Yeah.
sick of this.
well, it's been going on way too long.
And Glenn's gonna have a better, he'll be more welcomed when they're having an enforcement order and they're being
Where
fined
do we
every
send the
day.
enforcement orders, though, that's the question, because the two
All-
letters that I have, one goes to, let's see, Milford,
They both
one
went to
would
some
go to
LLC.
Sutton.
Right,
So-
send it to the LLC.
Yeah, send
I mean, I don't know how
certified.
everybody else
I
feels,
agree.
but this discussion's been going on for years.
It's your, I would
They
send it
clear
to,
cut a pine forest and didn't really get in trouble and were asked nicely by a previous board to just do some work. And they can't be bothered to even return a phone call?
No good
Not
deed
one
goes
month,
unpunished, Mr. Chairman.
Not 2 months, year after year. We've actually talked to them, made them aware of what was going on, and got nowhere.
you,
Well, I've sent out,
And,
4
you know,
letters already.
we've been harder on townspeople than we are a business.
so should we, is it time to, and I'm asking, not stating, do we, yes, Brandon?
Because of the COVID extensions, their determination of applicability is now valid into July of 2023.
So another solid year.
And there were never any timelines required on the
Starting.
determination. So, the way I see it, they have until July of next year to do it. then you can start issuing enforcement order. Best you can do right now is just keep on telling them, you're running out of time, you're running out of time, we're gonna issue an enforcement order, probably with fines. You don't want that, right?
Could we issue a letter that says that? Have we done that? So,
That
like
letter
as
does
of
say that, and it's
July-
in bold print.
right? Oh, well, then we can't do any more.
I don't think it says the date though, Wanda, like what their, deadline date is.
There was a letter sent out February 8th to both areas. It said in the letter, failure to respond to this letter may result in enforcement action, including fines up to $300 per day. So that was sent out in February. Then another one was sent out in March, explaining about the coffer dam needing fixing, and they need to attend the next available meeting. No one has called me. That's what, what I write, please call the office to schedule a time to be at the next meeting, Conservation Commission.
And I think at the last meeting, the thing that we said was
I'm gonna
we're
hand
gonna
deliver
send
it
them
this time.
certified, so that we
Yeah.
have
Really?
proof that they've
Did
received.
they get said
these.
certified?
If that's what
Huh?
should have happened.
So,
They do go certified, yeah.
But
It's
we want a
just that,
signature, those green cards back.
Debbie, I can get the certification from Debbie through the machine downstairs.
so what if we did a letter to the appropriate LLC that says this expires July of 2023, and if not done by July of 2023,
But
fines
then
will.
do they drag longer because they now know the date? And that's over
Yeah.
a year from
Responding
now.
anyway, so I don't
But
think-
that would say that could we state that the fines start July of 2023?
You could
That's
go
still
that
over a
far.
year from now.
But they're not responding anyways, Robin, so.
Yeah.
That-
if
that
we-
was-
If we forewarn them, then they don't have an excuse when July
They
2023
don't, yeah.
comes.
Right.
Yeah,
Glenn was
good
saying
point.
that this summer would be the summer to do it, given that it expires in July. You want to wait till the water levels go down, which happens over the course of the summer, which makes it easier to work. So
Yeah, no
this
problem.
summer is the best time to do
The
it.
problem is Glenn, I think he's even volunteered to be involved and has the passion, but I don't know if the new owners of this were
I'm
even.
gonna pay him.
Well, one, that too, or they're gonna agree to it. They could come back and say, we're not doing that, we'll replace the whole forest, or come up with something else.
Yeah, but isn't it an agreement for that property?
Isn't it in the order of conditions?
Well, there was a determination of applicability. So there was never an enforcement order issued because the prior board was trying to work this out amicably, as this board always tries to do. And Glenn Kravosky inserted himself, got the old owner to agree to lower the coffer dam.
Yeah.
Submitted a determination of applicability, got approved, everybody was happy, it's gonna get done, and, everything's gonna be a wash, and we lost the grove of trees, but now the trout are gonna be able to come upstream, great. And then the Econo Lodge got sold to the Red Roof people. Now there's new ownership, and so far, they've been nonplussed about any of this.
But does that, what I'm asking is, does that agreement follow the property, or does it follow the owners?
Also probably.
Well, it's not so much an agreement, there was never a formal agreement, like a consent order or anything like that. It's just the determination of applicability with the understanding that that's the agreement. So, I suppose they could let it run out and then propose something different. It's a possibility.
I know that the Red Roof Inn has been a topic of many discussions in front of the select board and in front of the building department in terms of work that they needed to do to get COs, and we should be able to get a contact because there's been the police department there's been a lot of activity there, and as far as I know, as it relates to the issues that have come up before the town, the new ownership has been reasonably responsive. So maybe if we could get there's got to be a way to get the name of an individual from either Mr. Kuchar or somebody that's had contact with them, because they're not a mystery to the town.
Yeah.
And make sure, at least give them the benefit of the doubt of making sure that we have the right person, and maybe even a phone call, maybe even, Greg or Brandon, if you wanted to give them a call and say, hey, you might not even be aware this is going on because the letters that you're receiving, for whatever reason.
Greg and I could do that, but I appreciate it if Wanda did the legwork in town hall to get that number.
Want to maybe reach out to well, maybe ask John and Lynn and, even the Sutton PD. The fire department might even have things for regular inspections or something as well.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, the police department's been there more than one occasion, and they've had, I think the conversations have been well received by the owner that they've had with the police department, but there was an element of an awakening that needed to happen to get to that point. So maybe we could piggyback those positive relationships that are developing.
All right. So Wanda, if you wanna, you're making a note to get that, right? Oh,
I have it right
you
here.
have it. Look at that.
Got it from Debbie last week.
Oh, good.
Question, Wanda, I see a wallet. Is that found here tonight?
That's mine.
Oh.
She doesn't like to sit on it.
No one sees a wallet out there, do they?
Did you lose a
No.
wallet?
Someone
why?
texted me and said they lost their wallet here.
Just now or today?
Yeah, tonight while we were here. It was one of the engineers.
I don't see anything.
Unless it's the day in the hallway.
224 Manchog Road, update. Mike's recused on this one.
Accusing myself.
This is the month when stuff is supposed to start happening. So I'm gonna call Ms. Purdell and, the next week and see what's going on, and I'll have an update. Hopefully there's something concrete that she can tell me that I can tell you.
Good. Because it's starting. Everybody's out there working.
Yes, they are.
Yeah, the cleanup crews have begun.
I've seen a bunch of houses already have mulch spread, which seems early, but they're moving. Site visit for 11 Davis Circle. I think, do we have what we need on this one? We talked about this one a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, you still need the letter of veracity of conformance for the as-built.
Yeah, we're waiting.
Do we get, he was actually here too.
And you know, I wanted to catch him, but, because I sent him an email.
Okay.
He sent me an email and said, this is the new one, and I sent it, but I have not heard from him. I'll get on the phone tomorrow and call him.
Okay. 16 Carr Street is a, something from planning review, and it's Stephen and Linda Dysek, a retreat lot. It's asking, I think, if we have any questions on it. 16 Carr Street.
Are they creating a new lot?
Greg, it's a retreat lot.
It's already
Yeah.
approved as a retreat lot, right?
Yeah, it looks like that they have substandard frontage but enough acreage, so it looks like one lot.
How are we looking on wetlands?
So we got this pond on the north side. And we
Swan
have
Pond.
Swan Pond. And then we have some streams along this western side, so.
At a minimum.
At a minimum, yeah. Obviously, we haven't walked the site or anything, so, we haven't looked into these wooded areas or if this is any wet meadow environment, but,
But as a rule, if you have an active field or even a somewhat abandoned field, the edge of the woods, the field's usually ended for a reason, and the reason's usually because it's wet. So I'm not saying it's a gospel, but that's been my experience.
You
Just-
might wanna check the right side as you're going in, because I seem to think something from the last time they were gonna build a house there was something wet on that side.
in this.
It was
line of-
going down to the lake, yeah.
Okay.
When you go in, check
Oh, on
that
the
side.
left side?
No,
Okay.
the right side
Right
where
side,
that
okay.
tree line.
So I say they have to come before us.
Yeah.
Hold on. To the chair.
Yeah.
Did they show you the plot plan? You haven't,
We just saw kind of,
usually they do, they're gonna meet an upland requirement, so you have to, if there are any wetlands, they're supposed to be shown, or at least, right?
Mhm.
So I think that's what they're asking us, so do we question that?
Well, it would be nice to have a well delineation to know more what's going on, but can we compel? I can't
You
compel
can
them to
ask
do
for
that.
that. Their meeting is next Monday. The planning board meeting is
So
next
we
Monday
want,
night. You
So
can ask
recommend well and delineation.
Right, that's what I was getting at, I
Yeah.
agree with that, I think that's the right, see what happens. They want our input, that, I mean, it sounds like you have enough of a concern to question the wetland line is what we're questioning, right?
Right.
And the fields are real easy to miss. Because I've stood in them before until I was with a wetland scientist and went, oh, you're right, look at that, and take the auger and go, whoa.
Especially when they're hayed or they're mowed.
And the wetland delineation, but that's not only for us, but it's also to prove that this is hitting the 60-40 rule, which I assume it is, right?
Well, they've got to meet the 60-40 rule, yeah.
So but that should be a question. Does
And it
this
has to
confirm
be
the 60-40?
continuous, because it can't be broken, you know, like, there's more than just that requirement, it has to be in a continuous fashion. It can't be some here and some over there, right?
Yeah, all together.
Right.
All right.
And maybe their engineer will be able to answer the question. Yep, we flagged all the wetlands and
It looks like the lot was, it was prepared as a 13+ acre lot, 52 feet of frontage of May of '04, so almost 18 years ago.
That sounds about right.
Okay.
I've been here 21, so that sounds about right.
All right, and then that's 16 Tar, and the next one is 179 Menden Street, Kevin and Lynn
I'm gonna
Collier.
recuse myself from any discussion.
Okay, so Mike's recused, and this is, my note just shows an accessory apartment. You know any more about this than that, Wanda? Mike, do you want to fill us in?
I don't think I should. I'm not
Okay.
supposed to speak unless it's my own property.
Okay, good call.
It's, no, I believe that that's all they're trying to do is an accessory apartment. I don't know if
So-
it's finished off. I didn't get very much paperwork on that.
It's always
Kind of hard to say if we don't know where
Yeah, it's
the
interior,
apartment's
so-
going.
It's interior?
I
It's
think
part of
so.
but the house isn't built yet, I don't believe, is it?
You're making it really hard for me not to talk, because
I know, Mike.
I mean, an accessory apartment, that
Oh,
means it's
sorry,
in
it's
addition to
current-
a house, right?
It's currently listed as vacant land.
Okay, I wasn't sure.
So,
How can you do accessory apartment on vacant land?
Yeah.
because
You build
my
a house
assumption is
with
gonna
it.
build a house and then do an apartment at the same time.
Yeah. So they can build two
Right,
buildings
But
within so many feet of each other.
have we gotten an application for this one?
No,
No.
it's outside jurisdiction of conservation. I guess I can say that because
As
Well-
a public.
When the ANRAD came in, 3 years ago, that's where we started, which was right at the dam, Pigeon Hill Pond on the left-hand side, and then we walked to the right. And in that area, where that lot is, I remember the wetland being very tight to the pond. Okay. I mean, whether it's within 100 feet, I don't know where they put in the house.
let me check your email. How's that? Hold on, give me a minute.
Okay.
I'll send you the site plan.
I believe this is the last lot that's left.
It would be a lot easier to give input if we had a little bit more information with the paperwork.
Well, they should send you. Yeah,
That's
I just
all I'm
sent you the
saying.
site plan.
Is you wouldn't
It
have to
shows
talk
with
if we
100
had the
foot.
plan.
And I think Mike can say certain things. He's speaking on behalf of the public, as a public Sutton resident, not as a conservation person.
Yeah, I'm not feeding you any information. I mean, there's the site plan.
And normally you would step down, but this setup does not make it easy to step down or step back up.
That's true.
There we go.
It's really not a discussion of anything. It's just, there's a site plan. It shows the 100 foot. And even grading, everything's outside the 100.
I didn't think to ask for the plans first tonight.
I'm trying to see, where's the 100-foot mark? Oh, there's the 100-foot.
Yeah, it's right there.
So the grading goes right up to the 100-foot buffer zone,
Correct.
but the house and all the grading and driveway, septic, everything are more than 100 feet away. And I believe it because there was an order of resource area delineation issued for this, so I'm gonna presume that the 100-foot buffer mark is based off a ORAD issued by the commission.
So
I'll say that's correct.
No comment, house and apartment are outside jurisdiction.
As long as they're right up to that 100-foot mark, so they better keep their erosion controls nice and tight.
Uh-oh.
Nice and tight. And I think silt fence might be a good thing.
It's up already. And erosion controls. And I didn't have to do it. Because I'm outside the jurisdiction, but I did it anyways.
Are you speaking as a member of the public?
Yes.
Yeah, right.
All of the information is on the planning department board's page, so.
You know what, you just brought up something really good, because you're correct. All the public, so from their website, we can access their whole agenda and all the information they've been given, so that the public can review it. So maybe we just need to
Start reviewing.
look at it.
I couldn't do that on my computer, and as a matter of fact,
I was
did
told it was
ask you
easy.
for
I haven't done it.
information.
Supposedly, all you have to do is click on the link.
It's a,
It's a Google box.
Google,
Yeah, he
Google
sent
box
me
or whatever they're called, right?
One more
Paperwork,
thing.
but I couldn't access it.
Greg can do this, I know he can. He's young.
I know, he's got it all.
Greg, I got faith in you, buddy.
No pressure now, Greg.
Planning's easy, there's meeting materials on the left.
Okay.
Yeah, right there.
And then
There you go.
Go in there.
You just gotta find it.
So March 14th is the last one I can click on. Is the only thing. So they're a little like older. They're a little
So it's past meeting?
No, March 28th is there.
Keep
You
going,
can't-
April.
But we're in April.
April 11th.
Homepage.
Go to the committee homepage.
Okay.
See, someone's gotta know how to
Navigate
navigate
it.
navigate it.
So go to planning board. Click right there, where your cursor was, April 11th.
Oh.
Well, because the reason why we didn't see it, because it was too easy to see.
See that?
Yeah, that's the
Look at
problem.
that.
You
Now
made
we
it- you
know.
made it too easy.
Now we can never say we don't have
Yeah,
information.
At the top.
Plan. Okay.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Okay.
There it is.
Yeah.
There's the house.
Yeah, I did see this plan. It was just interior though. I didn't have a idea of the 100-foot buffer zone.
There's no other plan or anything?
No.
Oh, because planning board only looks at the
Right.
criteria of the in-law.
Right.
You know, they wouldn't
Yeah.
wanna, they don't weigh in on the wetland line.
Right.
But I will say this, and this is a generic comment. John Kuchar goes on the Google Maps and he looks. And if he even thinks that something got missed,
He sends
he'll-
it.
he sends it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
He
He's
really
very,
does.
he's very good at that.
So that's the thing that I know works, because if you can't get a building permit and you're questioned on your wetland line, you go take care of that.
So this is Carr Street, and they have a line here about edge of wetland.
See, this is helpful.
Yeah, I'm just not sure. Let me see if I can turn.
You need a bigger TV.
Increase it.
Yeah, I can barely see it too with the angle, just so you know.
I just don't
I miss
know.
our big room.
Well, I'm, like,
Well,
this is
this
a terrible
car should-
angle.
Yeah,
you know what?
Especially
I
when
pushed it
somebody
up that
stands
way.
right there.
I have one. Does anybody want it? I'll gladly bring it in.
There's no notes on.
No, it's an iPad for the
Yeah,
Conservation
it's
Commission.
I have another one if someone needs it.
It's
Nicole?
just, this is a really bad angle, especially when somebody is talking right there, I can't see
Well,
anything.
you know, this could be,
It can be turned. I didn't know you could.
it's usually turned
That's
more.
because I just leaned towards Jamie.
Oh, that just made it better for me too.
So I mean, just to have a discussion now that we can see the plan, we can still question the wetland, because I see it get missed at this level. Because there's not a lot of accountability, no one's reviewing it, no one's agreeing to it. And you just told me today that you had to move wetland flags on one of your site visits, on one of the things that was tonight.
Yeah.
So I don't know how, where it's so minute and it looks like it's not even close.
Well, that's presuming, who
No, no, I
put that
just-
line
that's-
up there?
There's no note on if anyone delineated this or where they.
But
got
that's
this
Carr
line
Street,
from.
right?
Yeah,
Carr Street.
or where
We're
that
just-
information came from.
Right.
And if they're made from the Mass GIS overlay, I don't trust it.
And I think that's what they use, that's
20
what I
years
was
of
getting at.
experience,
Yeah.
I don't
think-
trust it.
It's a
Which
good
stuff-
starting
and-
point,
and-
that's about
and
it.
it wouldn't
right?
mark out our bylaw, which is the fields come into play with our bylaw. So that could easily get missed
Oh, yeah.
as a resource area.
Yeah, delineating in fields is a completely different animal. It's a lot tougher than doing it in the woods.
You're right.
You know, I agree, until I went on a few site visits, like just personal property, trying to develop it and being there with the guy and being the one saying, no, that's not a wetland, no, that is, come here, look. And as soon as he puts the auger in the ground and you can move it a foot and the soils change. So I mean, and usually you have plant life there too, so it's the hydric soil, the groundwater, and the plant life, but everybody wants to say it's a field.
If you can see the plant, like, because if it's not mowed down.
Right.
You're right. 11.
All right, it's a grass, I don't know what kind of grass. Is it a wetland grass, is it apple grass, don't know.
Unexpected issue was at 11 Eagle Drive. DEP, I forwarded to Wander, I believe, and Greg went out there where they said trees were cut down. I also drove in and I didn't see anything, so I guess I didn't look close enough, Greg.
Can we look at Google Earth and just point out what we're talking about, like
Yeah.
where this alleged, I mean, does this person even border a wetland? You know, he's cutting trees down and it's not even a resource area.
It's one of the condos that
And the other thing-
abuts Pleasant Valley, but
When the complaint was filed, usually we ask, you have to
it came in from DEP.
Oh,
Yeah, it came from
DEP.
DEP sent it to
Okay.
us.
All right.
We believe someone reached out to DEP.
Yeah.
So I think I'm looking at the right house right here. Yeah, Eagle
Yeah.
Drive. So this is the house in
Yeah.
question. There's a little I knocked on the door, talked to the homeowner. She just showed me where they cut some trees down. And there's a stream that goes through here. It's actually shown in this little blue line. They probably cut down 5 or 6 mature trees. along that stream side. I told them to come in with a after the fact RDA as soon as possible, and then we'll have a
So
discussion at that point.
this is kind of a crazy question, but this is a condo association, but they don't own the land, do they? Doesn't the association own the land?
I don't think so. I think they own the building.
They own, I believe they own the property, but the land is
I think
owned
you're right,
by.
because a lot of these are multi-units,
Yeah.
and there are single families, but most are multi-units.
Well, that one there is a single family, the one in question. See, I was looking where it says Eagle
You'd have to
Drive, I
look
was
at the
looking right
deed.
there.
So I'm just gonna throw something out there real quick. They're cutting trees down, they wanna see the golf course. Is that what you think's going on?
A little bit. There was significant rot in one of the trees.
Yeah.
I will say they were leaning towards their house because they were leaning towards the sunlight, which happened to be towards their house. So they were saying it's property value. I didn't see the trees obviously before they came down, so I can't speak to how big they were, but potential
Were
property
they
damage.
still there, or were they taken away?
They were taken away. They weren't stumped out. They left the stumps. So
Through the chair. Wanda, have you received any paperwork for an RDA?
No, not yet.
And you talked to them?
yeah, they told me it might be a week. They were leaving for
Okay,
vacation like
good
the
enough.
next day
Yeah,
or two.
I'm
so
sure we'll hear
when
from
they
them.
come in,
Yep.
I'll get.
Well, I was looking at the wrong side, so good find, Greg. And that, I gotta say, in all my years, that's the first time we've had a homeowner of a condo association landscaping their own, former landscaping their own property. Kinda thought defeated the purpose of moving to a condo.
Wasn't it John Burns that did this?
That was Leclerc's.
That
It-
is-
This is a little clear.
Yeah, and then
There's
Burns
John
to the other side.
Burns and resell.
That was one of those ones are pushing 20 years old. Those are that,
Oh, that's some of the first
that was
ones
GB
developed?
Sing's right there, yeah.
Oh, yeah?
That was started before 2000 because it was here, part of it was there when I started.
Okay, well, that's an interesting one, huh? All right, so we'll wait for the paperwork. Anything else from anybody?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Have a good night, everybody. I jinxed us. Went longer than I thought.
I told you not to say it out
I said,
loud.
this is gonna go quick. There's nothing on here.